Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your Captain Shay. Up next, Stock Watch, 5 up, 5 down. Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So, of course, you guys know back in the saddle, and this is just basically my third recording after being on kind of a, sabbatical, if you will. So, got some big content coming for you guys. I got probably a 5 or 6 video um series. I call it a series because it's going to be all about Lamar Jackson, but it really won't be a continual theme. It'll be different topics about Lamar Jackson. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. I got some NFL, news. Like I told you guys, I would get into that. But for this video, we're going to be talking about the Baltimore Ravens, 5 players up, 5 players down, as it pertains to stock. So as you guys know, OTAs, minicamp, all offseason workouts have concluded, and it won't pick up until late July, where players report for training camp. And so, there's been some guys whose stock has risen significantly from the time that they began off-season workouts up until this point. There are some guys whose stock has fallen, I think, pretty significantly. And one thing that kind of indicates stock up, stock down is the need for certain players at certain positions to rise and shine. Okay. So let's start on the offense. Okay. First up is going to be Saleh, 6th-round pick, 2023 for the Baltimore Ravens, guard tackle. He probably was expected at the time that he was drafted to just kind of be a developmental player, take this first year and just learn, get acclimated to the NFL game. But all signs point to him potentially competing for that starting job. He got a lot of all reports kind of indicate that he got a lot of first team reps last week, which says that he did a good job. He showed athleticism for a guy his size. He's about 6'5", 6'6", 320 plus pounds, so he's a significantly large man, and showed a lot of skill, showed a lot of ability. Now, understand that certainly was without any kind of pressure from a defensive player, in the context of being padded. But for a 6th-round pick, a guy who probably was expected to be a developmental player to get first team reps, I don't think that was just filler. I don't think that was filler minutes or filler reps. I think that was reps that could lead him to competing for that starting position. Because at that left guard position, we know that it was vacated by Ben Powers, and so there was a need for somebody to step into that role. Heard a lot about John Simmons. I think that's how you. I think I got his name right. If I'm incorrect, somebody correct me. He was brought in, and he got he got some buzz early on in this offseason, but Saleh got a lot of buzz coming out of minicamp. So the coaches are high on Saleh, and so I think that he could certainly be in competition. So that's stock. Number 1 player, stock up. Okay, stock down. Ben Cleveland, same position. There's a need, like I said, for somebody to step into that starting role, as Ben Powers landed in Denver. And so Ben Cleveland has kind of been just hanging around the Ravens for 3 years now, going into his 4th season, drafted in the 3rd round 3 years ago, and he has just not done it. He had some injuries. He had some issues with his weight, being out of shape, things like that. And I think the Ravens and Ravens fans have been waiting on Ben Cleveland. Ben Cleveland's a big, powerful guy. Big, powerful guy coming out of college. A lot of high hopes for him. A lot of buzz about him being a steal for the Ravens in that third round, but he just not has stepped up to the plate and performed to a level to where he could take over that spot. That position has been, just waiting on him to take hold of it. He was a candidate before Ben Powers was really a candidate, and he just failed to do it. And it does not look like he's going to do that this year either, because when a six-round rookie steps in and gets more reps than you in that starting lineup, that says your stock is down. I do not think that the Ravens will cut him because he does offer, some size and some power that could be utilized somewhere else or just, as a depth piece. But I do not think that Ben Powers is going to win that starting job. And I expected him to. Doesn't look like he will. So Ben Cleveland, stock down. All right. Next up, stock up. You guys know I've talked about Nelson Aguilar a little bit, and Nelson Aguilar has been buzzing since off-season workout started. Even before organized workout started, he was, in the gym, so to speak. He was in the facility working out and doing his thing, learning the playbook, all those kind of things, and that has translated to productivity on the field. Again, there is no padded competition, so anybody can ball out against air, but he's made some deep catches. He's made some intermediate catches. Him and Lamar Jackson has seemingly developed some chemistry. And so I think that with some injuries at the wide receiver position, I think with Odell coming back slowly, I think Nelson Aguilar is prime for what could possibly be a breakout season in Baltimore, especially if Bateman isn't ready to go. And I don't think he'll be ready to go when training camp starts. So stock way up for Nelson Aguilar. Stock down, Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman was drafted in the first round. I believe I have this correct. In 2021, he's going into his third year. And he's been hurt every year since he started. You guys have heard me say this before. He's been out more than he's been in. And he may even start the season on the PUP list because he was taking cortisone shots as late as last week, and which says there's still some inflammation in those injured areas, because that's typically what a cortisone shot, is used for. And as a wide receiver, your feet, your ankles, your legs, those are your foundation, for being able to ball, right? And so when they're not healthy, it leads to injury because a player will overcompensate. And that's kind of what it's been for Bate. You know what I'm saying? He's just been hurt. And then he had some controversial statements this off season when EDC said some things about the wide receiver group. And so when you make controversial statements such as what he said, to his general manager, you know what I'm saying? I felt he was in position to, ball out this coming year. You know what I'm saying? He's going to come in healthy, but doesn't look like he's healthy. And there is something to say for when a player spends all offseason rehabbing versus training, because rehabbing is the nature of getting back to a healthy point, whereas training typically takes place when you are healthy and you're building on top of what you already have established. And so Bateman, stock down. All right. Stock up. Rock Ya-Sin. Rock Ya-Sin is a guy that I've been high on since before free agency started. A guy I kind of linked to the Ravens repeatedly, and they finally got a deal done after the draft. So I was really glad to see. I knew that he was one of the high-rated man-to-man cover corners in this year's cornerback class. And from everything I've read and heard, and even some tape, he has been that. He's kind of been in the right position at the right time, has some pass deflections, been in good man coverage, been in good position. And I think that will bode well for the Baltimore Ravens defense. I think that he's going to be a guy who can handle his own. I don't think you have to roll a lot of coverage over the top. Now, there are some players who have elite speed and elite ability that you may have to roll some coverage over the top to, kind of give him some assistance. But I think for the most part, he'll be able to hold up for whoever he's covering, especially if our edge rushing does their job. And so Rock saying stock way up right now, stock down. This is going to be two players, JAD, Jalen Armour Davis, and also Pepe Williams. Um, these two gentlemen were drafted last year in 2022 in the fourth and fifth round, I believe. Hope I have that correct. And they didn't do a lot last year, some injuries, some inconsistencies in play, and they just didn't get a lot of run, right? And so my thought, my hope was that um, they would step it up this year. They would come into this season healthy. They would have 1 year of NFL experience under their belt, and they would be ready to go in OTAs, minicamp, things of that nature. But that has not been the case. Both of them have struggled with injury, which has really kept them off the field. So a prime opportunity to step up and show their skill and their advancement and their development did not happen. And I know some players, they can't help that they got injured. No player wants to be injured. Let's just be honest. But the fact of the matter is, in the NFL, the best ability is being availability. And so they just haven't been that. So it leaves more questions at a position where we need depth. And so, unfortunately, one or both of these guys may not be on the roster this year. It's just the truth. They may end up on the practice squad because there is some veterans who will certainly make the roster, some wily veterans like a Daryl Worley, maybe even a Kevin Seymour. Rock Ya-Sin will definitely make the roster, Marlon Humphrey. So there's four. And so these guys may get edged out. I do believe the Ravens add a piece at cornerback. And so these guys are going to be questionable to make this 53-man roster in 2023. So stock down for JAD and Pepe Williams. Stock up, Blue Kelly. He had, although he was a fifth-round pick for the Baltimore Ravens, he had some buzz about a skill set. Now he's a smaller corner. He's not, he's not a long rangy corner, you know what I'm saying? But his toughness, his ability to cover, was two things that was most notable about him. And it seems like he made that translate to the field. He had a good OTA. And then he turned around and had a good mandatory mini camp. There was a lot of good commentary coming out about Blue Kelly. I think he had a couple of interceptions, and so that says that even though again no pass, no real banging and bumping, so to speak, but being in the right position at the right time, being able to read the player, being able to read the quarterback, being able to undercut passes and pick off balls, that says a lot about a skill set and a knowledge of the game. And so Blue Kelly stock rising. I think he certainly makes this team. There's no question. Now I'm gonna have to go with Brandon Stephens. Brandon Stephens is a player who played well as a rookie at the safety position, who showed some cover skills. And so the Baltimore Ravens moved him to the cornerback because they needed depth, but he has not fared well at cornerback. And I remember in a video talking about that Brandon Stephens would have to make the transition back to safety. And we said that well before John Harbaugh made that public. And so we have not heard anything about Brandon Stephens in OTAs, minicamp, things of that nature. And that doesn't mean that he's done poorly. It just means he has not made an impression in comparison to some of the other guys who've made notable progress. And so Brandon Stephens could be a little bit vulnerable when it comes to making this 53-man roster at the safety position, especially with a lot of quality at the starting position. Williams, Hamilton, good depth, and Geno Stone. So Brandon Stevens, could certainly make that roster at the safety position, but he has to, I believe, come on strong. So I'm going with stock down for Brandon Stevens. Stock up, Darius Washington. Um, he's a player who the Baltimore Ravens picked up as a UDFA a couple of years back. A guy who I've always really liked. When he gets on the field, he seems to be consistently around the ball. He's a small player, about 5'8", somewhere in there, 180 pounds ish. And so he went undrafted because of his size, but he has performed well when he's been given an opportunity. He's made some plays in training camp the last couple of years. He stuck around on the practice squad. The last couple of years in Baltimore, he's made the 53-man roster one time at the Baltimore Ravens. And I think that the things I've read about him coming out of minicamp, I think his stock is up because of his size. He's probably more suitable to be a nickel corner, but, but because of his ability to be around the ball, play tight coverage, things of that nature, I think that um, he could step into that role, a role that is vital to be filled. And so I think Darius Washington probably has the lead, especially with some of the cornerbacks not faring well in this offseason. So Darius Washington, stock up. Um, a guy who I'm gonna go with stock down, not because I've heard anything about him, just because I haven't heard about him, and that is uh, Tyus Bowers. Um, we understand that he missed 2 seasons ago with a lower body injury. I can't remember if it was the ACL or the Achilles. I believe it was the Achilles. He did come back last year, did not make much of an impact, but he is basically a year removed from that at this point. So he should be coming into this offseason healthy. Um, I did not hear anything about him coming out of training camp. Now, again, that doesn't mean he played poorly, but at this point in his career and what the Baltimore Ravens need, we need to hear more. We need to hear more about Tyus. You know what I'm saying? Is he looking more explosive? Is he being a leader for the young outside linebackers? But I didn't hear anything about Tyus, and so I'm gonna go with stock down again. That's not because there's any negative report on him. It's just that I didn't hear anything that spoke to progress, advancement, leadership, any of that thing. And that doesn't mean he's not a leader. My point is I haven't heard anything, and news is always a sign of drawing some attention, whether negative or positive, is still a sign of drawing attention. And Tyus did not do that this offseason workout. Again, he is a veteran, and so I understand he may not have been super, super active, but I did not hear anything. So I'm going stock down, Tyus. So these guys that I mentioned in the stock down category, they have some work to do in training camp. I don't believe Tyus specifically is in any danger of not making this team because we need depth at that position. But I think those other guys that I mentioned in stock down, they have a chance of not making this roster. A few bonuses. Um, Stock up, Ben Mason. I mentioned him before. A lot of buzz around Ben Mason. When I say buzz, I mean he made some plays, got the coach's attention, that kind of thing. So his stock is up. He showed some athleticism, some more speed, some good hands. He took advantage of his opportunity with Patrick Ricard being out with injury. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the converse. Stock down, Patrick Ricard. He's a veteran, Pro Bowl level fullback uh who kind of he kind of was the Baltimore Ravens #1 wide receiver last year. Um, if you're a Ravens fan, that's kind of a Ravens running joke, but he got a lot of targets last year for a fullback, and so with a heavy passing game. I'm not looking for the fullback to make any big plays, but Ben Mason has definitely shown an ability to make catches and do some things athletically, and so he could push Patrick Ricard a little bit. I don't know what Patrick Ricard's contract situation is. Don't know how much guaranteed money he has, that kind of thing. But if Patrick Ricard starts out on the PUP list, Ben Mason could certainly step into that fullback role, especially with the Baltimore Ravens only carrying three tight ends, I believe. That's what they carry in this 2023 season. Another guy stock up is Charlie Kolar, and I'm gonna add Isaiah Likely to that. We understand who Isaiah Likely is. We understand his ability, his potential to even be better in 2023. But Charlie Kolar is another guy who had some buzz this off season. I read a lot of good things about his athleticism, his hands, his route running. And so, with some questions at wide receiver, I believe still for the Baltimore Ravens, I think Charlie Kolar and Isaiah Likely could have could have an integral role, super significant role in the Baltimore Ravens offense. And so, I hope these young guys still continue to improve and advance and make a lot of progress. It's good to have that kind of talent going into their second year, already showing a lot of flash, a lot of promise. So I'm going with those two guys stock up. Um, Another guy stock up, Justice Hill. Um, a guy who has got a lot of run as of late, especially with his contemporaries at that position being down or out. You know, all reports indicate that he shows some speed, some hands, some vision. He has good speed. We saw that in his times past, and so I think Justice Hill has a real opportunity in 2023 to kind of make this team, but not only make the team, but maybe cement himself as uh, you know another 3 or 4 years of a contract, a 2 or 3 year deal, on low end of the spectrum, $6-7 million, something like that. Um, because he is a good special teamer, but he has showed a lot of promise at the running back position. And I think with questions with Gus Edwards, with JK, I think you have to be able to have a guy like Justice Hill perform well, somebody you can lean on. Um, so, good job for Justice Hill. So stock up. A couple of guys, bonus stock down. Um, I'm gonna go with a JK Gus Edwards combo. These guys were not available um, in minicamp for different reasons for both. I don't know if JK was taking a stance. You guys heard me mention this earlier in another video, but Gus Edwards was injured, and so stock down for me. Now, this doesn't mean they won't make the team and things of that nature. This just means at this point in time where you're, trying to focus on getting ready for training camp, guys being healthy, who's ready to go, who looks healthy, that kind of thing. These two guys were unavailable. There was a question if JK had a soft tissue injury. So not really sure if that's genuine or if that's kind of a built-in excuse to kind of settle the fans' angst when it comes to JK. Either way, was not available, so stock down for both Gus and JK. Last guy that I'm gonna go with stock down is going to be Tavius Robinson. Now, when it comes to Tavius Robinson, he is a fourth round rookie. When I say stock down, that doesn't mean I'm down on him. That just means I didn't hear any buzz uh, about him coming in or out of minicamp. Okay. He's not really in a position battle or anything like that. He's going to make this roster. He's a young guy, a lot of potential, and that's kind of why I put stock down because of potential. At some point, potential has to flash. There's no better time to flash, showing your speed, your power, your quickness, your pass rushing toolkit than when you're not playing against any padded competition. There's no better time to do that. And Tavius Robinson did not show that. Again, he's a young guy. He's just learning the NFL system, scheme, things of that nature. So I'm not down on him. I'm just saying stock down because we need depth and quality depth at that pass rush position. And so again, when you have vulnerable areas on a team, it draws extra attention. So that's why I have Tavius Robinson stock down. But so those are my stock up, stock down guys, risers and fallers, so to speak. Listen, let me know who you guys think. Did I put somebody on the list that you guys thought shouldn't have been on the list as a riser or a faller? Was I too critical? Or was it just right on point? Also, put who you guys think in the comment section. Super open to hearing that, man. I appreciate you guys for hanging with us, man. Remember, got some heavy hitting content coming up over the next couple of weeks. And so please stay tuned, locked in for that. I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.